Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm Scott Agness of FieldhouseFiles.com. Just finished up watching Fever practice, and they were down to 7 players. That's the big concern right now, is healthy bodies, right? Already Caitlin Clark out, and then a couple days ago, losing Sydney Colson during the game, Sophie Cunningham during the game. Now, after practice, we spoke with head coach Stephanie White and said they received encouraging MRI scans here over the weekend. Now, both players day-to-day, but it seems clear they're going to miss at least a little bit of time. Now, Sydney Colson was on a bike towards the end of practice when the players were getting shots up. Sophie Cunningham, meanwhile, walked in while we were talking to Steph White, but she was in slides, not a boot, nothing like that, moving around okay, but it does appear to be some kind of re-aggravation of that right ankle. It's the same ankle that she suffered a tweak on back on May 10th in the Fever's preseason finale down in Atlanta. So now they're having to simplify. Now they're having to figure it out on the fly, and as the players have talked about, it's like they're starting over every single day. And so one of the things that's included in that is, what do they do in the interim while they're out probably 3 players? And by the way, I should have mentioned Damiris Dantas took the day off for rest purposes, no specific injury, but Steph White gave her the day off. She was there at practice watching, but not participating. But over the last 24 hours, Steph White in the front office had to come together, had to huddle up and discuss what's next for this team. How do they get a short-term stopgap before Caitlin Clark and the others return to the lineup? So they have this ability to use an emergency hardship exception. That allows for them to bring in one player during the current situation right now that is dire right now. They just need healthy bodies to field a team and have players available also just in case. I asked Stephanie White, do you want a player who's been here? Do you value best player available at the guard spot? She said absolutely best player available. Also talked with Kelly Krauskopf for a future story, talking about the Pacers' big win and reaching the NBA Finals for the first time since 2000. That happened here Saturday night against the New York Knicks. But more than that, it also allowed us an opportunity to ask about this current situation. And she said, yes, they hope and intend to bring in another player before Tuesday's home game against the Washington Mystics, but a lot for them to figure out here. The good news is they got positive results from the MRI scans for Sydney Colson, a left leg area, and then Sophie Cunningham with her right ankle. Now come inside Fever practice and hear from both Stephanie White and team president Kelly Krauskopf. Steph, what can you share about Sophie and Sydney at this point?
Yeah, I think we got good news, from both of their MRIs. As good a news as you can get. And so right now it's a day-to-day thing. We're looking forward to hopefully them returning at some point sooner, rather than later. But at the same time, it's how each of them progresses in their rehab and in their return to the court action.
At least encouraging, too, to see Sydney on a bike and whatever else she was able to do.
Yeah, for sure. Syd's been progressing really quickly. She's going to get out there and get some shots up, too. So we'll see where she sits when she comes back after her recovery from today. Make sure we don't have any setbacks, and then we'll see where she is tomorrow.
How about Damiris? We saw her just standing.
Yeah.
Is there something there, too?
Yeah, just a rest day. I think for Dee, she's got a lot of miles on, and making sure she gets a little bit of rest, had a little bit of soreness in her lower body, so don't want that to create or to turn into anything.
For Sid, was that knee injury, like upper leg?
No, it's like upper leg.
And for Sophie, was that kind of re-aggravating her ankle injury, or was it something different?
Yeah, I believe so. That same ankle. Yeah.
What was it like over the last 24 hours? As I'm sure you got with the front office and discussed the short-term plan and the long-term plan.
Yeah, it's been trying to figure out all of our options. All of our options from potential hardship contracts and players and who's available, and to how we're, and with our coaches, really like how we reimagine how we're using our players. So we've had a good opportunity in practice today to get a lot of different looks. We anticipate Washington coming with a lot of pressure, so we've got to have our bigs be able to bring the ball down the floor, initiate offense. What are the best things for us to get into? Getting back to the basics and simplifying.
For you, when you're thinking about a potential hardship player, are you valuing someone like knows the system, has been here? Is it maybe best player available at that position?
I think best player available at that position who can add value on both ends of the floor. Certainly we need to have someone who can add value on the defensive end. We got to have somebody who can help us navigate and get into offense, handle the ball, and since we're down to 2 healthy guards. The goal would be to get everybody kind of back to their natural positions if we can. But at the same time, we can't control everything, so we'll get the best player that we can get that will fit into how we want to play.
Do you anticipate signing a hardship player before Tuesday's game?
I hope so.
Yeah. Wait, what does simplify mean in terms of with this group? Is that more so what you're calling out there and more read and react, or what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more calling and structure in our offense, a little less reading, so that we can kind of predetermine a little bit more. Maybe giving, 3 or 4 actions or sets that they can run, as opposed to giving them 6 or 7 options. So we simplify it that way. Who's on the floor with whom, and then same thing defensively. We'd like to get to where we can cover different players different ways, but we're going to have some players playing out of position, so we've got to simplify it and just get really good at 1 or 2 things.
Ivana talked about kind of not being able to rhythm after Friday's game. What do you do with all of those injuries and potentially bringing someone in to try to get into some rhythm?
I think the simplifying hopefully helps that. Giving them just a couple of things that we can focus on, and we continue to really rep over the last 2 days on both ends of the floor. Knowing that some players are going to be playing out of position and freeing them up to stay aggressive and just play. That's the fun, challenging part of the coaching situation is still putting them in positions to be successful while it might be a little bit outside their comfort zone.
Do you try to use any of what they did at the beginning of the season, the slow start, the injuries piling up as something here?
Yeah, every team's different. Every year is different. Every game is different. So I think you do this long enough, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And, the year we won in 2012, we started the season 1-7. And we had a lot of, ups and downs. Every year is different. So I think, you just try to find strength, and sort of pull in, this next day is a new opportunity. So, I'm glad it's early in the season. We still have opportunities ahead of us. We have a long ways to go.
Just on the Fever side of things, for the last 2 days, been like kind of figuring out injuries, figuring out potential hardship situations too.
Yeah, we're down in numbers, but we're looking at adding another player for a replacement player to help us with our numbers and try to get people healthy and try to get a full roster back together. Games are still coming, so it's going to be an adjustment, but we have a good group. We have good depth, thankfully, so that should help us.
Are you hoping to have that player before Tuesday's game?
We're hoping, yeah.
Have you ever been through any circumstance this early into the season and such where you're battling 3-4 down? Like how unique is this?
Remember, I don't, probably, but because the WNBA, the roster sizes are so much smaller. So when you get down to the 11-player roster and you lose 3 players like that, now you've got to add a quick player to your roster. So it's something that you just deal with being in this league with the roster sizes being a little bit smaller, and that's why you try to build for depth.
Is this maybe another perfect example of where the W, if it could get to where they had, like the NBA has 2 ways, but maybe you call them player development roles and they could be available in times like this? Would that be ideal?
Just more bodies would be good. Yeah.